Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The topic of our presentation is Theory of Social Alienation. So, first of all, what is alienation? The concept of alienation came from Karl Marx and his book. He gave the concept of alienation according to the capitalistic society and how that alienation has severely impacted the proletariat of the society. But in our today's discussion, we are going to discuss that theory in a different way. In the context of criminology, we are going to discuss that theory of social alienation. So there are some concepts that are borrowed from Karl Marx alienation concept, but it is quite different in the criminology. So let's start our today's presentation. So first of all, introduction. Basically, this theory of social alienation is an amalgamation of sociological and psychological concepts of criminality. It combines these two things and gives us a whole lot of different perspective in understanding criminal behavior. Like we studied in the previous video of theory of association of differential association, in which it was only talking about the deviant behavior or the criminal behavior and how it is being developed in a person through social interaction. But here there is an amalgamation between psychological and sociological concepts. So let's start. So what this theory explains, basically, it says that crime rates are high where anonymity, isolation, impersonalization and anomia are very high, in which a person feels impersonalized, isolated and not loved or wanted. He feels a sense of worthlessness in himself, and basically what this theory says is that these things create a criminal behavior in any person. This psychological thing of isolation, anonymity and impersonalization impacts his social interaction, and what this creates is a criminal behavior. It generates a criminal behavior in a person. So this theory points out that a typical criminal is lonely, isolated, emotionally hostile, aggressive and inadequate sense of belonging. He is not wanted in the society. He is alone. He feels insecure. So what this theory says is that he moves toward criminal patrons. He is attracted by those patrons and he moves towards them. Although physical and biological reasons behind these lower level of socialization, but psychological factors play an important role in criminal behavior. There are biological and physical reasons for people to feel insecure, impersonalized or isolated, but psychological factors also play an important role in it. So if we talk about physical or biological reasons behind isolation, for example, a person is really I would say weak or very low in physical stature, then then it is most probably that he will be bullied from his colleagues or from his friends. That there are high chances in that, but that's not the only reason that he will feel isolated or insecure, but that can be the one reason behind it. The biological reasons can be hereditary, like there is a hereditary problem of aggressiveness in their genes, so they can be aggressive or they can do a criminal thing, but that is not the sole reason behind criminal behavior. Psychological factors also play an important role in that. Now we are going to compare theory of social isolation, alienation and differential association. First, it explains the crime of passion. It explains why someone do a crime, why he is attracted to that patron. There are psychological factors behind that. It explains that, but in the differential association theory, there was no such concept of crime of passion. It was only saying that the criminal behavior is coming from interacting with socially interacting with the people of criminal behaviors. The theory was saying that it is a learned behavior from other people, but it wasn't talking about the crime of passion. For example, someone has no criminal outing, or I would say that social interaction with the criminals. So how did he do the crime? From where did he learn that crime? It doesn't explain that. Another difference between these two theories is that explains a person lives in a society of delinquent patrons yet isolates himself from from that patrons. And now what the social theory of isolation says about that is that a person is not affected by the criminal environment around him because he is socially interactive. He is socially socializing in a very healthy way with his environment, and he doesn't feel attracted to that criminal kind of gangs or any kind of thing. So he can isolate them, he can isolate from them, yet he lives in the criminal environment and he doesn't do any crime. This theory explains it really carefully. Explains a person with no history of crime yet commits crime. It explains it. There are psychological reasons behind that. There are insecurity, there is hostileness or aggressiveness behind that. Another comparison is it explains the origin of crime. Like in the differential theory of association, there was no reason behind why someone did a crime. Who was the first criminal? Who was the first criminal? It doesn't explain that. Retains emphasis on social interaction while also emphasizes emotional contact of that interaction. It talks about that. It says that social interaction and its emotional content really move the direction towards those things. So that was our presentation. Thank you very much for listening. Subscribe, like and share. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.